everybody, it's Kat with Active Cat Yoga, and as I promised you, we are going to do a short yoga program that is designed to be a therapeutic program for those of you who have Lyme's disease or Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Now, I know what you're going through because in 1979 I had Rocky Mountain spotted fever and I almost died from it. It went on for a very long time before anyone realized what was going on. And I was very fortunate. I was able to I lived through it, and I was able to keep all of my fingers and toes and all of my limbs. But I do know how difficult some of the residual effects can be, such as the aching joints and muscles, and how sometimes when you stand up for no apparent reason, your feet hurt so badly on the bottoms that you can't hardly stand and put them on the floor. I also know that some of you have been affected by hearing loss, and I hear that bee in my ear every once in a while too, that it's just a reminder that yes, you're here. My biggest challenge was my vision. I actually had some serious vision problems as a result of it that still linger with me today, mainly a condition called photophobia that makes me very light sensitive. But other than that, I feel pretty good most of the time. And, so I know that, some of you are dealing with some really serious challenges. And I'm hoping that possibly what we do today may alleviate some of those. I started doing yoga when I was in my 30s. And I didn't connect the part of the yoga and, the healing processes. But when I was 30 in my 30s, I was in such a deep depression. I had been in a depression ever since I was sick, and I had no idea why. Your body remembers what the mind forgets. Long after the mind forgets, the body still remembers what you've been through and what has happened to you. And sometimes just taking some time to breathe and to give those feelings that you have in your body a voice can be a very releasing and healing part of this. So, yoga, which means union in Sanskrit, really is about lining up, aligning and balancing and, yoking and unionizing the mind and the body and the spirit, our spirits really can make us happy or they can make us really sad. So keeping your spirits lifted is a good way to start this little combat against the depression and the residual effects, against that stupid tick that hit you. I don't know about the rest of you, but I was this healthy 17-year-old girl that all of a sudden this little bitty tiny creature just came in and knocked me off my feet. And it was very disheartening. So, I wanted to show that tick that I was going to get back up on my feet. And it wasn't going to hurt me. And now I can do things that I couldn't do before I was sick, just because of my determination after I finally found yoga and found how strong it was making me, both physically and mentally, how empowering it was, and how what a gift this was to me. So I want to share it with you. And it doesn't, if you've seen magazines of people in these contorted, outlandish yoga poses, toss those images out of your head because they're not realistic. Most normal people don't ever reach most of those contortionistic phases in yoga. I do it simply as a way of opening up my energy channels, opening up my joints to get blood flow and energy flow into them, and keeping me from aching so much. And it doesn't have to be a twisted up, contorted practice. If you can get there, hey, you go for it. But don't think that that is a requirement. Don't think that you have to be flexible. Don't think that you have to be strong. Don't think that you have to have anything other than you just have to be conscious and you have to be breathing. Those are the two main things of yoga that are really important, is that you have to be conscious and you have to be breathing. All of the rest of it is a perk. All of the rest of it is fluff. When we stretch and we do these things, we work within our range of motion, we work with our own physical abilities. Most people, when they come into a yoga class, they're not coming in to show off how flexible they are. They're coming in because they found that they're inflexible through the years, that they've lost flexibility, and they want to get it back. And for those of us who have been bitten by a tick that has affected us with Rocky Mountain spotted fever or Lyme's or any of the other tick-borne illnesses that they all seem to have similar, you know, side effects and sort of similar symptoms. So, you know, most of them are the same, and so we want to just kind of combat that and bring our body back into a state of homeostasis. So what I'd like you to do at this point, and I want you to keep these two things in mind. This is never about range, and this is never about range. This is you working with your own abilities wherever you are. Right now, this moment, if you have never done yoga before, this moment that you're sitting down to do this is your entry point. And I want you to work from that entry point. Tomorrow, your entry point may be different. You may have a lot more flexibility tomorrow. The third day, you're going to be different. You may have less flexibility. So you work with where you are in that moment. And that's one of the things that yoga teaches us, is how to work with that moment. Not where we were 10 years ago. Not where we're going to be or hope to be 10 years from now, but where we are right now. Where we are at right now. You know, unfortunately, and this is a serious side of this, unfortunately, many of us will not be where we were 10 years ago, whether we've been bitten by a tick or not. It's fact of life. Aging happens. So, you know, keep that in mind. And also, you know, keep in mind that if you have been bitten by a tick and you have had some serious complications, paralysis or, you know, which I've had to deal with that. I was also paralyzed on my right side. So, you know, we've all had to deal, you know, with those different things. And if we're still having to deal with some of the residuals of that, you know, don't look at who you used to be. Look at who you are now. Because that's where we're going to look from. Okay, I'd like to invite you to come down onto the floor. You're going to come into a comfortable cross-legged seat. Bringing one foot into the groin area and the other foot you're going to line up as best as you can with it. You're going to come high onto your sit bones, which is the two bony bones right at the base of your spine. You're going to lengthen out through the crown of your head, pulling up the pelvic floor, pulling in the lower abdominal muscles. Now, if it's hard for you to get up and down off the floor, you may do this sitting in a chair. But if you do it sitting in a chair, you want to make sure and stack your bones. You want to make sure that your knees are over your ankles, and that your hips are lined up with your knees, and that your feet are firmly planted, and again, your spine is tall and the pelvic floor is lifted. Okay, we are going to bring our hands up in line with our hips. We're going to take a deep inhale. And then we're going to exhale completely. Now in yoga, we inhale through the nose, we exhale through the nose. So this gives us a chance to build up some heat within the body. So I want you to just keep doing that, breathing and releasing, inhaling and exhaling. And on your next inhale, you're going to bring your right arm up. As you exhale, you're going to slide your left hand out about 6 inches. You're going to inhale, lifting and lengthening without pulling that shoulder up to your ear, but lift through your spine. And as you exhale, you're going to extend over to the left, pressing down on that right sit bone. And then turning your head to look up past your arm if you can. If that hurts your neck, just look straight ahead or even down on the floor. So wherever you're comfortable, wherever you're at, and do not worry about range. This is never about range. So don't worry about how far you're going or how far you're not going. I want you to go where you can comfortably get into this pose. Your breathing is free and open. That's where you're going to be. Inhaling, pulling yourself back up. And as you exhale, you're going to turn your palm down and slowly press that palm through the air like the air's thick, and you have to force your way through, leaving some resistance in your arms. Inhaling the left arm up. Exhaling that right hand out about 6 inches, extending over. Nice deep stretch, pressing down on that left sit bone, making sure, because you know, when we do this, the hips want to lift on us, but if the hips lift on us, we're going to lose that stretch. you want to keep that hip pressed down. So you're lengthening over, stretching over, breathing into this. And then inhaling, coming back up. Again, exhaling, turning that palm down and pressing your hand down through the earth, keeping that resistance. Really stretch your arms out and release. Inhaling, bringing both arms up. And now we're going to take it into a twist. So as you exhale, you are going to twist. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Bringing your right hand back behind you. I'm sorry, that was our nail lady. Welcome to Life in the City. Go ahead and bring that right arm back behind you, and then you're going to look over your shoulder. And just give yourself a little twist. It doesn't have to be anything big, just a twist through the middle of your body. You know, don't reach so far that you're putting yourself out. We don't want to do that. We want it gentle. We want our body to relax. We want to keep that relaxation response going as we're twisting and releasing. This is so good for the digestive system to release toxins, to help with elimination. Inhaling, coming back to center. Exhaling, twisting to the left. Bringing your right hand to your left knee, left hand back behind you, and gently lay over your left shoulder. Now, keeping in mind that there is, like I said, eliminating toxins. This doesn't just go along with, foods that we eat that are bad for us. We want to eliminate toxic emotions too. The emotions that we feel can be just as toxic to our body as poison. When we're relaxed, we produce a completely different chemical reaction in the body than we do when we're stressed. So we want to make sure that we keep our body in a relaxed state and allow all of those toxic emotions to leave. Go ahead and inhale, coming back to center. Exhaling, pressing those hands down. Spine tall. And then we're going to swing our legs around behind you. Now I know that for me, my knees become very sensitive. Not to the point that I can't get down to my knees, but for some of you that may be problematic. If that's the case, what I would like you to do is I would like you to roll your mat up or put a towel under your knees so your knees are padded. Because I know that for most people who have had Lyme or recognized by the fever, they feel in the knees. That seems to be one common denominator is the knees. So hands are on the floor under the shoulders. As I said, I really don't need the pad. Hands are on the floor under the shoulders. Make sure that the third finger of your hand is pointed straight out. Knees are under the hips. You're going to curl your toes. And we're going to inhale. You're going to lift through the chest, lengthening and looking up, turning those sit bones up. Exhaling, rounding through the spine, bringing your chin to your chest. Inhaling, riding the breath, synchronizing the movement. Exhaling, rounding and releasing. Inhale, lifting and lengthening. Exhaling, rounding and releasing. This is very good for the adrenals and the kidneys. Inhaling, lifting, and exhaling, releasing. Now go ahead and come to a neutral position with your spine. I'm going to have to walk back a little bit because I'm a little too close to the edge of my mat. But I'd like you to bring your palms, your hands, one palm length forward of your shoulders. And then we're going to curl your toes. You're going to inhale, you're going to lift your hips, and you're going to come into a pose called downward facing dog. Now downward facing dog is an upside down V. And you're going to, when you go into this, traction is kind of the name of the game with downward facing dog. We want you to have this nice long spine. And so if you have to bend your knees a little bit to get the spine long, that's what I want you to do. You don't want to end up losing the spinal integrity in order to go for the range of pose. You know, it's not important that your heels touch the floor. It's not important how deeply you have gone into this pose. What's important is that you're getting that release in your spine. And that helps to get all of those electrical impulses going for some people. And just breathe into it. Take 2 more long, deep breaths. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose, pressing through the palms. Making sure that your thumb and index finger are pressed down and that your heels are pressing back toward the mat. It doesn't matter if they touch the mat, you just want them to press back in that direction. And then we're going to inhale and you're going to step your feet. It may be 1 or 2 steps, it may be 3 or 4 steps. Step your feet up between your hands and then just drape your upper body over your thighs into a forward fold and stretch. And then pressing through your feet, you're going to inhale slowly, 1 vertebra at a time, rounding yourself up to stand. Make sure your head is the last thing to come up. Coming into Tadasana, making yourself, very tall and aligned. You're going to press your feet down. You're going to lift your toes, spread them out like tree roots. And then you're going to drop them back down onto the floor. Now you can bring your thumb and index finger together into the Om Mudra, which releases a relaxation response to the brain. So if you would like to do that, you may. But you're going to bring your hands down at your side. And you're going to check in with your feet. And you're going to notice where you're feeling this pressure. I want you to feel the pressure evenly on all 4 sides of your foot. Arches are lifted. Shoulders are pulled back. Chest is lifted. Pull a band and pull up that pelvic floor. Pull in the lower abdominal. Support the spine. Back of the neck is open, and your head is like a marionette doll, pulling you up nice and straight and tall toward the ceiling. Bring your hands into prayer position, pressing them firmly together. And we're going to flow with this next part. So you're going to take a deep inhale. You're going to bring your hands down around them up, palms touch. Exhale and diving in, just like you're swan diving into a pool. If you can bring your hands to the floor, great. If not, bring your hands to your shins. You're going to inhale. You're going to lift through the chest and lengthen, turning those sit bones up, pulling out away from the hips. And as you exhale, you're going to step back with your right foot. And you're going to line up the toe and the heel of your left foot with the arch of your right foot. You're going to engage the lower abdominal muscles. And you're going to inhale, pressing through the feet, pulling yourself up into Warrior 1, or Virabhadrasana 1, which means Warrior 1. I think we'll just stick with the regular plain names for this today. Maybe we'll get into those Sanskrit names later. Press down through that back foot. Make sure that that front knee, again, I know that knees can be really problematic, so we're going to make sure that that front knee is right over the ankle and no farther. If you start pressing that knee out, past your ankle, you're putting way too much pressure on it. It's okay if it's pulled back a little bit, but it goes no farther than right over the ankle. You're going to inhale, and then as you exhale, you're going to bring your hands straight out, lengthening out through your spine, bringing your hands down to the floor, and stepping back to plank. Now, plank is the up position of a push-up. Very, very empowering. But in the beginning, if you have some issues of strength, drop your knees to the floor. But don't lose that abdominal integrity and spinal integrity. We want to keep those abs working to support the spine. That helps to build up that upper body strength. As you exhale, you're going to lower it. And then you're going to scoop up into Cobra Pose, pressing down on the lower part of the body, pulling back through the shoulders. This is a very gentle back bend right here, a little opening for the spine. Then you're going to curl your toes, press through your palms, lift your hips, come back to down dog. And take a couple of breaths here. Breathing deeply through the nose, inhaling and exhaling. And then step that right foot up to your hands. Pick it up and move it. If it doesn't go all the way, it's got to be between your hands. Then you're going to spin that left foot down, toe, heel, and arch alignment. Inhaling, warrior one. Pressing through the back foot, lifting through the chest. Oh, what a stabilizing feeling this is. And you know, this is another thing that's really important with the yoga practice. It is very, very, very important to feel what you feel. When I first got out of the hospital, every time I would talk about any feelings that I had, people would say, you're just lucky to be alive. Which was true. Go ahead and exhale out. Step that left foot up to meet your right. And fold over completely. Pressing through the feet, inhaling, strong sweep with the arms, opening through the chest, palms touch. Exhaling, bringing your hands into prayer position. Taking a moment. Calm your nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for healing. But one thing, as I was saying, when I first got out of the hospital, I went through a terrible depression. I was 17 years old. My friends had moved on. The kids at school were doing their own thing. I had been out of school for a month or longer. It was quite problematic for me at my 17-year-old youth. It was my world, and my world had shattered. And I think that's probably the case no matter what your life is, whether you're 17 and high school is your world, or you're 70 and all of a sudden your life is turned upside down. The feelings are the same. And I want you to feel what you feel. If somebody comes up to you and says that you're lucky to be alive, they're being nice. They are. They're trying to be nice. They're trying to be helpful. They don't know what to say. But I want you to feel what you feel. I know that there's anger that goes along with this. I don't want you to start smashing things and beating up people. I want you to feel it. Because if you don't feel it now, you're going to feel it eventually. And it's going to sneak up on you when you least expect it. So the best thing you can do is just feel what you feel now. Put those feelings in their place. Journaling is a good way. Having a friend that you can talk to is a good way. I'm going to sign off for now because we're getting ready to have a really, really bad storm. But I hope that this helps you, and we will come back and do more of this. I think that we need to work on this every day. And so tomorrow I will try my best to get another video on here for you with some seated poses. But in the meantime, you work with that sun salutation that we just did and some of those seated poses that we just did in the beginning. And tomorrow I think we're going to do a meditation. So until then, this is Kat. Love you guys. Feel better. Just feel better. That's what I want. Namaste.